Greetings from the Timeshare Traveler. Well, hand goes up. So much for the Hawaii vacation, COVID-19. Uh, I love Hawaii, but no good place to be quarantined for 2 weeks when you're going on a 2 week vacation. So I'm sure I join a bunch of you travelers that have had to postpone that trip to Hawaii that you dream about. And often in my case, it was the reason I bought many of the timeshares. So now we're still stuck, and it's through September 1, I believe, is the now date, the 2 weeks of quarantine. And it seems to be moving a month every month, so it's not clear when it will end. Um, and also, don't really want to be on a crowded beach as well. So I canceled my vacation in May, moved to September. Not sure if this one's going to be canceled. So I've come up with some alternatives to what I think are good alternatives to Hawaii. Maybe it's not Hawaii, but it's still a beach, and that sound of ocean is a mesmerizing thing, at least for myself, and hopefully for you as well. And I'll go through that in the next section. Hi, everyone. So in this section, I'm going to go through the alternatives to a Hawaii beach vacations. Now, again, it's not going to be the same as Hawaii, and I don't recommend Florida because of the high COVID-19 cases, but I kind of took a different view. I sort of said, so, okay, let's find a secluded place. Let's find a place I can relax and just enjoy the waves. And that kind of means don't go downtown LA, don't do San Diego. Probably San Francisco is a bad place, and you can think of all the large cities on the East Coast. I happen to be living in Arizona, so I'm mostly West Coast centric. And of course, I don't want to fly. Getting on a plane is maybe not dangerous, but it's not worth getting COVID-19. As you can tell by my gray hair, I'm one of the people that should be more cautious than others. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. What's a secluded spot? What are timeshare places that are available? So here's what I've come up with so far, and thought I'd put it out there and see how other people see it. So I think it's probably best to go off season. There are less crowds, and therefore there's less COVID-19 risk. So that's kind of my first rule. And it's maybe, it's not going to be as warm as Hawaii, most likely. But the waves are still sound the same. In fact, in some ways, they're more refreshing, more wave crashing. But you may have to just be bundled up a little more or deal with a little more rain. So in the next section, I'll go through my alternative places I've come up with. Okay, in this section, I'm going to go through some of the alternative places to Hawaii that have, I think, a nice beach situation. One of my favorites, and I'll start with California, and just kind of do California up the West Coast because that's where I'm more familiar. There's a great WorldMark location in just north of Monterrey, and even pre-COVID-19, there really weren't that many people on the beach. So on any day, you might see, in a 5 mile stretch, you might see 25 to 50 people. So certainly not a crowded beach. It's a WorldMark, and it's minimally trafficked. It's north of Monterrey, so it's 5 miles north. So it's a perfect location. The bad news is you kind of have to book it a year in advance. So hopefully we're out of COVID-19, but either way, it's a wonderful place, and they have bonfires, and you can have s'mores on the beach. So that's one of my favorites. Another one, which is really secluded, is a bunch of the kind of like converted mobile homes or one bedrooms in Point Arena, which is quite a bit north of San Francisco. And their cabin's about a mile walk from the Point Arena lighthouse. And it's a beautiful walk, and they have cliffs, and so you don't actually get down on the beach, although you can find places where you can. But it's really one of those Northern California loud crashing waves, and I love that sort of quiet nature. Every now and then you have to dodge a few cows, but not a lot of people. So again, from a risk perspective, and this is typically reserved through RCI, so either Hilton and or WorldMark both have RCI connections, so you can book it through there. A place a little bit further south and a little closer to San Francisco is a place called Windsor, and there's a WorldMark there. I've used that one because it's about an hour to a little more than an hour drive to the coast, and you come in by Bodega Bay, not too far from that. So it's not very crowded. It's right off the Russian River, so it'll give you a sense for those of you who know California. I find that as a good one. And then there are a couple places in San Diego, again at North San Diego, near Oceanside. There's both a WorldMark, there's actually two WorldMarks, and there's a Hilton there near the one of the theme parks, but you can walk down to the ocean. That's a little more crowded, not on the weekdays, more on the weekends. So again, it's a small town feel, and it's great for walking along the beach. So I've done that for late night walks on the weekend. I don't go when it's typically crowded. So those are my California hotspots. Let me take a break here and talk about Oregon next. Well, now let me talk a little bit about alternatives to a Hawaii vacation that I've found in Oregon. So I've stayed in Seaside in February, and literally maybe 2 to 3 other people will be on the beach. Granted, it's typically a drizzly day, but you know what? I have rain pants, and I have a raincoat, and I have a hat. It's not freezing. It's in the 50s during the day. It can be foggy, but it can be also, just a gentle drizzle, and it is beautiful. The waves feel so good. You have so much beach to walk on. It's very relaxing. And it's not just Seaside, it's kind of up and down. There's like 4 or 5 WorldMarks along the ocean. You have to book them a little bit in advance. It's now July, and most of the November are taken, but if you go into February, you can start to get some availability. So I find those to be beautiful. I like the rusty beaches. Last time I was there, I was helping people spot clams. That was kind of an interesting experience. I'm not really a person that eats clams, but I was helping other people find it. So it kind of was it was one of the 2 or 3 people that I ran into on the beach were visiting to that. There's also this kind of cool aquarium throwback from like 1920s, so it's a really cool thing. I've not done the Washington, but there are a ton of opportunities in the Washington area. And again, mostly these are all, again, WorldMark, but that's kind of where WorldMark started in the Washington, Oregon area. So there's a lot of good alternatives to that. So you know what? I do miss Hawaii, and that was a big reason why I got into timeshares. But safety, off-peak, I enjoy the quiet. I enjoy the quiet walks and the sound of the ocean at the same time, and the birds and all that going on. So it's really quite nice, and these are smaller towns out of the way. Again, it's a little less crowded. And again, I wouldn't say that in the summer months because I'm sure they're just as crowded as anywhere else. But during the winter months, fall and winter, there's a lot to do. And I've enjoyed myself the times I've spent time. Mostly I've spent time in the Seaside, and I've spent time in Monterrey multiple times. And I've done Oceanside. So those 3 are the ones I've actually done, but I'm looking forward to kind of expanding because they all kind of fit the profile for excluded places to go while COVID's there. And you never know. At the end of this period, you may realize that that's something that suits you, and we don't have to all rush to Hawaii. Maybe there are really long-term alternatives that will be very enjoyable. And I look forward to seeing you on the secluded beaches, but not too many of you. Take care.